well, we got some rain yesterday, but you kind of had to be in the right place. If you look behind me here, this is 24 hours worth of rain here from Whitney down to Waco on down to Marlin and Roseback. That's where you had the best rain chances yesterday. You kind of had to be on the south side of this boundary that we had yesterday. You also had much higher temperatures on that side of things, which is what helped to build those storms up. On the north side of it, we were a little bit cooler, but unfortunately didn't get any rain, so it was a trade-off. Get one benefit, but you had to kick another. That happens a lot in Texas. So for today, that boundary is farther south, so we do have somewhat cooler air here, 92, 93 degrees, and then overnight tonight, 71, 72 for your lows. Unfortunately, not much help in the allergy department either. We are in the high range with Canopod elm and ragweed kind of dominating as it has the last several days. So if you've been struggling with those allergies, just keep whatever regimen you have up to keep yourself as comfortable as possible. Look at the tropics here, not a lot going on, at least not here. Out in the Atlantic Basin here, Tropical Depression Gordon, downgraded to a depression here, probably will become a tropical storm again as it makes its way up into the Atlantic Basin here, just kind of hanging out over the water. Eventually could be headed towards the UK there, but nothing here. Now we do have potential tropical cyclone 8. That's enough of a mouthful there. PTC 8, that's what you can call it. Probably becoming tropical storm Helene before going onshore here into South Carolina and eventually North Carolina, headed up the eastern seaboard here as a little low pressure system. That will indirectly have an impact on our weather as Francine did, and we will talk about that right now, because in the big picture of things, these different systems here aren't affecting us directly, but they're affecting us indirectly, and that's not exactly what you want to hear. We have this storm system off to the west here, right over California. That will be making its way east here, northeast into the heartland. That will make way for another storm system that will be forming and dropping into the U.S. later today, tomorrow. And on the other side, on the eastern side of the country, we have the remnants of Francine here in the deep south. The next storm that will eventually become Helene on the eastern seaboard. Eventually, we'll see Francine's remnants kind of fall apart, and the remnants of Helene will kind of dominate the East Coast and bring plenty of rain there. In between is us. Right here we have high pressure that is digging in, and we will see that over the next couple of days. And one thing I want to note before I go forward is that you see a lot happening. This is a good thing in the big picture, the grand scheme of things, because the more activity you have going on, the better likelihood you have of getting those deeper intrusions of cold air. Unfortunately, not any time in the really near future, but we are looking at changes possible with that next storm forming in. Now, why is it that we have so much stagnant hot air over North Texas? Well, we're kind of getting into this omega pattern. You see the omega letter here, this Greek letter, and we have low pressure to the east, low pressure to the west. Again, this one will be moving out. We'll have a new one take its place, and we'll be stuck in this omega block here, as it's called, where high pressure just kind of sits in between and just kind of hangs out there. Now, the next system that will be dropping in will be fighting this pattern to bring cooler temperatures and rain to north central Texas. I talked yesterday about how there's so many different variables. When will it come in? Will it bring rain or not? How deep will the cold air actually get here? Still a lot of questions in place. We've already pushed the whole thing back about a day here, and so there's still changes happening in the forecast. It's still 6-7 days out in that period, and so there's plenty of time for things to adjust. I mentioned to a lot of people yesterday at the event at Rail Yard Park in Waxahachie that 5 to 7 day forecast period generally is when I feel like we see the most kind of changes in this. So the next couple of days, we could see a lot of changes in that. We could see things stay the same. Your forecast periods here in Texas are always interesting, so that's why you have to stay tuned and pay attention to those adjustments so that when we get there, you're not saying, well, what in the heck happened? Why did that happen? We always try to provide the context here so that when the weather changes, you know why and you know what to expect. But for now, we do have warm air sitting right on top of North Texas. For today and tomorrow, things are relatively cool here, 92, 93 degrees. So enjoy the relatively cool temperatures because we are headed back up, 95 Wednesday, 96 Thursday, 97 Friday. And then as we get into the weekend here, yeah, this is where we have that question mark is doing a lot of work there because it's explaining all these different variables are in place. Founders Day on Saturdays does look like we'll be in the mid 90s. I think we'll get maybe a little bit of a break from being quite as hot as we are on Friday, but still warm out there. So you'll want to stay hydrated out there in Watkins Park in Red Oak on that great Founders Day event. I'll be there. It's going to be a great time. Rain or shine. Unfortunately, it looks like a lot of shine. I'm hoping we'll see maybe more clouds move in, but it'll be a warm day. But either way, we're going to have a great time. As we get into Sunday, I have 91 degrees and a 30% chance of rain. That is very much subject to change. This front could even wait until Monday, but there are signs that either way, this front should give us at least a little bit of a break, so we could spend at least the first half of next week in the 80s, if everything works out. Now, if this front unfortunately can't win the battle with the high pressure ridge, it could stall out north of us. Now, if it stalls out over us, that could mean more rain, but that would make it harder to figure out how warm our temperatures are going to be. So stay tuned. There's a lot of kind of variables to still work out here. As we get closer, we'll get a better idea of what we are looking at, but expect a warm weekend overall. Sunday is questionable, and then the first half of next week could be cool. So stay tuned to South Metro Weather as we work on this forecast getting closer and enjoy the relatively cool temperatures the next couple of days, because the latter half of the week will be warm and sticky. I'll bring more updates as we get more information here on when maybe permanent fall will finally set into North Texas.